We should play some music next time, like waiting room music or jams.
Something in like with the theme of
Mhm.
the tip jar.
Still
I don't
tipping.
know.
I got some rap
Carrying
songs to
movie.
do about tipping. There's a Mike Jones one. Pretty good. Throwback.
Unfortunately, if we did it per tip jar and it was for the title of the tip jar, and this one is sharing is caring, the only thing that came into my mind was like weirdly like some child like Barney or something like that.
Oh, you can just do the Care Bear theme song.
Care Bear. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Do you think Kyle would be pleased if I spent a lot of time talking about how we could theme it and which songs we should play for each episode instead of putting more thought into the content? I don't know how well he'd take that.
That's why all the attendees,
music's very powerful.
All of you here.
Yeah.
That's why all of you that are here. We're for the music that's not playing in this one.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So we'll get started in a couple minutes. We are here from OP, and as people join, if you want to get familiar with the chat feature, maybe just send us through your name and where you're tuning in from, and we can all be represented. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. Oh, we've got Austin from Memphis. And Dayton, I love the use of ahoy. Thank you for bringing that level of enthusiasm to our morning meeting. I appreciate that. Laura from Chicago and Laura from Seattle. You guys will have to have some sort of duel at the end.
Duel of the Lord.
Sean from St. Louis. Welcome. Thanks, everyone. Ooh, Jay from Salt Lake. We're in Salt Lake too. We've got Bryce and Trent. Lots of people on. This is awesome. So glad to hear from everyone. I'm Abby from Salt Lake.
I'm Jared. I live in Salt Lake, but I don't know if I'm going to say it. I'm originally from Orange County, California. I'm going to keep it that way.
It's also a transplant, so I'll say Oregon just to mix it up.
I'm a transplant too, but I thought I shouldn't make it complicated, but now I will. I'm from Las Vegas.
Are you from Las Vegas?
Yeah, and now I live in Bountiful, so I do have whiplash if you were curious.
Yes.
For those of you not from the Utah area, Bountiful is a very cute suburb just north of Salt Lake City, and it is the opposite of Las Vegas. So, all right. Well, we have quite a few people on, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks again to everyone for interacting with us in the chat. It's so fun to hear from you. I am Abby Pancoast. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Observe Point. I'll be your moderator today. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, please just pop them in the chat. Don't feel like you have to save your questions for the end, although we will have time at the end of the webinar to discuss any questions. But yeah, just kind of pop any questions you have. I'll call them out to Jared and Mike's attention. I'll kick it over to Mike and then Jared, and we'll go ahead and get started with our content. Mike, do you want to introduce yourself to the crowd?
Yeah, excited to be here, and thanks for joining us this morning. So I'm Mike Maziarz, Senior Product Manager here at Observe Point. I've been here just over 8 years, working in pretty much any role the Observe Point will let me work in. So big fan of Observe Point and what we can do and help folks like you. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask today, or you can always reach out to me on our community Slack channel, or just email me directly at Mike at Observe Point. Always happy to help our customers. So nice to meet you.
Great. And then I am Jared Wilbur. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect here at Observe Point. So for those who were on the previous TipJar with Dylan Sellers, I work with Dylan and his team. In fact, I feel like I've probably been on the call with, I recognize a couple of names here. So I join with current customers to help implement unique solutions, leveraging the tool in fun and different ways to help kind of increase value for you. So if you ever see me on a call, go ahead and say hi. I'm happy to help in whatever way I can to make sure that you guys are getting the most value you possibly can out of the tool. Great. And with that, let's get started. So for the agenda today, we're going to just recap what we talked about in the last tip jar. We'll go over the use case overviews, which is the new feature that was just released here a few weeks ago. We'll also actually be going over shareable links as well within those. So both of those were released together. We'll go over some of the resources for sharing, sharing Observe Point, the next bullet point. We'll go over some help docs for that. Sample auditing, that was also, that's something that can be leveraged as well within Observe Point now. We'll go over kind of a little bit of a challenge or kind of an invitation. And then a little Q&A session. So if you do have questions, feel free to post them in the chat. Abby will ping me and kind of, with your questions as they come along, but we'll have time at the end of at the end of today's call to go over a Q&A session. So last time with TipJar episode 1, we went over using Chrome profiles. At least Dylan went over using Chrome profiles to test cookies. A lot of the industry uses dev tools to test out cookies, and we at Observe Point are trying to kind of do a little bit of re-education in that of dev tools shows the wrong scope for true cookie testing of what the actual pages are setting. So that was done. How to implement privacy audits within Observe Point, how to go through and create consent categories and actually do opt-out states of the user, as well as GPC, which was released. You can enable GPC audits to go through a opted out or do not track user on your site. And then cookie initiators, which was actually just released. If we have a little bit of time, we'll show just a little bit of that today. The phase 1 is live and accessible to all of you. You can go into any audit that was run within whenever it was released. I don't know what that date is, Mike, but any audit that is run from now, if you go was run recently, you can go into any page detail and actually look at the new cookie initiators that is within the cookies tab within a page. And there will be more phases being rolled out, but this is our initial kind of release of cookie initiators. We also have a recording of this as well. So if any of you are interested in these topics, feel free to go to that previous episode's tip jar and get that content there. But today we are going to be talking about the new use case overviews and shareable reporting now available. So the idea and why these were kind of a priority in Observe Point is to help give value to those inside your organization. So your stakeholders, those you report to, give them an easier way to consume the data that we generate. You all know, if you are daily users of Observe Point, you know the value of the tool. You know all the reports, you know everything that you need on a daily basis. But those that you report to may not have that, nor do you, you could give them a username and password. You could give them some login information, but they're on a tight schedule. Observe Point's not their #1 priority. And so we enabled some new reports, as well as a new feature for not just those reports, but all reports that you can share those with those stakeholders, or anyone in that case, to give those to give them that insight into the value of Observe Point. So we're going to do just a very small demo of that, if for those who have not seen those new reports and that new feature. So I have a very simple demo audit here that I have in my own account. So the first thing, these are now the default reports within audits in your account. So if you've gone into any audit recently in the last couple of weeks, you'll see that new change. The first one is an overview report. And you'll notice that we have sectioned each of these out and given a little kind of snippet of what these metrics represent and why they're important. So you'll see the number of pages scanned. We have metrics such as broken tags. You'll see that we give our own recommendation of best practices. So something like this, broken pages. If we go out, obviously best practices to have no broken pages. We don't want to be finding 404s and the like. We give that definition of what this is for those who may not be familiar with ObservePoint and what we do. Just a small definition, small little visualization for them for consumption. And then if you click on any of these yellow links, that will actually take you to the appropriate report that represents that metric. So for broken pages here, and any user who clicks on this will just be taken to the pages report filtered out for broken links inside that report. So it's a very quick and simple way for you to quickly look at those use cases, those really high level use cases, and then go into the appropriate report to then consume in detail those metrics or whatever you're looking at. So high level overview kind of gives obviously what it sounds like, an overview of all information about the audit. And then you can see up at the top, we have individual use cases for different individuals who might be coming into the tool. So if your priority is analytics, we have a tab for that. This is a very specific report just for analytics. If your use case is analytics, you have nothing to do with privacy, you can just come to this report and get a nice, really high level, quick overview of how many unique analytics tags, of that analytics tags, what percentage of pages are covered, along with our recommendation of best practices. We also give all customer that best practice can also come from a aggregate view of, hey, how are all customers that are using ObservePoint, what metric do they have there? So unique analytics tags, we did this, I just did this on, I think it's just on our blog portion of our site. We had one unique analytics tag, but the median for all ObservePoint customers was actually 6. And we can actually look at the average was 11. So we do have a nice little skew somewhere with the 99th percentile is 69. Someone out there has 195 analytics tags. So I don't know who that is. I don't know if you're on this call, but bravo. you made a metric. But we give information about the tag manager, what you would expect if your role was associated with an analytics role. So how many unique tag variables were in here, data layer coverage. If these have not been set up, so we have something like this where I did not set up this audit with a data layer. So obviously that's going to be 0% coverage. If that is the case, we then recommend and show you information, give you help docs in order to set up for these metrics to then appear in these audits. So if that data layer has not been configured in ObservePoint, we then tell the user, click here. This is how you then get that set up. And that is a little bit more relevant for this privacy tab too. So those who are interested in privacy, the big name of the game right now is cookies, and how are those tracking things? How what cookies do I have across my site, and what are they collecting? And so we have an entire report dedicated to that. How many unique cookies do I have? How many third-party cookie domains do I have? What are the geolocations from all pages that these cookies are being set? These are big ones as well. What do I have my privacy policy link on every page, as well as do not share/sell on every single page? Is that content on every page of my site? And again, how do I actually then update this so that this then appears? We can then do that. And then landing pages. This specific use cases for those. ObservePoint is incredible at doing spider crawls through the site, so linked pages, and that might not always be the case. You might be interested in pages that are not accessible via linkage through the site. So if your use case is based around landing pages, so if you have Google Ads, if you have any kind of media platform that you have campaigns that are directing traffic to your site, these landing pages, Observe Point's really good at that. We have an entire new report for that use case of saying, okay, I have these landing pages. What are the metrics behind that? So this is these are our new use case overview reporting. Very nice to just get a really quick glance, especially for those who are not familiar necessarily with Observe Point. They don't know really what they're looking at yet. It's a very quick way for them to consume this data and go, oh, okay, this is, I can find use in this. The next way for that, obviously, to get that to these individuals is our handy dandy new share capability. This is extremely easy. We have help docs on this, but it is really as easy as clicking this button. You can copy that shareable link. I'm actually going to open up an incognito window here for us and shift my window so we can see what that looks like. So I just opened up an incognito window. I'm going to paste that link that I got. These shareable links, you'll actually see before it navigated there, we append a token. That token for full accounts or free trial or full accounts, that will last 90 days, that token. So any individual that you give that link to, they'll have from the time that you click the share button, 90 days forward, anytime in between there, they'll be able to access this. Now, the useful thing is that shareable link is not reduced to just these use case overview reports. It is any report in here, any report inside that audit, they will be directed to when you click that shareable link. So if I were in cookie inventory, or if I were in pages or alerts or tag health or whatever it is that you feel that it is appropriate for that that stakeholder or that individual you're sharing with to know, click that shareable link while you're on that report, and that shareable link will send them to that report. Very useful. They do, and you can see no login necessary. They can just start consuming. They can navigate to any page. They can go to tag inventory. They can go to cookie inventory. They have full access to this audit. And if you look closely, you can see they have no way of editing or starting. There's no little gear icon up here. And there's no left-hand nav, so they can't use any of your usage for your contract. You don't want them necessarily kicking off another audit or creating new audits, because that will impact, obviously, that's your usage within our tool. So this enables them to just consume and get the information, but not necessarily post and do additional things within your account. It limits them to just consuming the data inside that audit that you shared with them. Great. Let me switch back my sharing back to the old.
And just one note on
Please.
Feature here this week, the share feature, you will have email ability as well. So it won't just be a copy link. You'll be able to email and put a note in of, hey, why am I sharing this? So you should see that here in the next couple of days in your account.
Excellent. And that's why we wanted someone from product on the call, because I'm not going to be talking to future things. I get in trouble if I do.
This feature is pretty close and guaranteed, so it's free reign.
Perfect. You can tell I've gotten my wrist slapped once or twice in my time for saying, oh yeah, this is coming out. And then, Jared, don't say that. That's on the roadmap for later. Some resources. So back to our slides here. The next slide was just on resources here. So we do have a few of those available. Abby will be posting these in the chat. This is a new resource within our help docs. This was a new effort, new initiative of helping you to know what is the best way to share, and who should I be sharing these reports with, and what's the best way, or what are the best reports to share with these individuals based off of either their role or their responsibility within your organization. So if that piques your interest of, that's great that we have a new share button, but who is this even, who do I share, who could I even share this with? This is a great resource for that. So that will be posted in the chat. The other resource, this is actually based off of the last TipJar. This was released, was recommended alerts. So alerts are brand new, well, relatively new now at this point. We released them December, January, Mike? Sometime within the last handful of months. Incredible success. Honestly, if you have not used alerts, this is probably one of the most not important, but this was an incredible release that enabled a ton of usage within the tool. Previously, getting notifications would have been reduced just to rules or when an audit completed. You can now get alerted based off of a ton of different metrics across every report on tons, and you can send it in different ways. You can put custom messages, lots of really cool stuff that you can do with alerts. And that's what this document then can help with. Where do I even get started with alerts? If you haven't enabled them, or even if you have enabled one or two, what are maybe some other ideas that we recommend here at ObservePoint for you to do, to enable within your account? So pages, if you haven't done, in fact, this is like one that we always recommend right off the bat, is broken final pages. So if you have final pages within your within any audit, let's know about that. And any different, any property that you own, let's just at least get a report to know if any pages are broken. Now, if you don't want to get alerted over and over again, there's different thresholds. So we recommend after an audit, if there's any pages at all that are broken, get an alert. If that's too much for you, if it's like, I know that there's going to be a handful, we can then do thresholds. So if the delta has increased, if we say that, run over run is an increase in broken pages by 10%, alert me, because that's not good. If 10%, suddenly there's now 10% of my pages are within this audit are breaking, let me know about that. That sounds bad. We can easily do that with alerts, and that takes 5 clicks and you've got it. So there is an entire list. I'm not going to go over this entire list, but recommended alerts, highly recommend you to go through these. And yeah, the last resource here is sample auditing. So this again is a new feature that anyone can access. You can have access to this if you want, but you can also just send anyone who is interested in ObservePoint to observepoint.com. These links are all over observepoint.com. They can start a free trial if they want an actual login. But if they just want to know what data is available to them, they can come to a free trial, a sample audit, click this, fill out their email and the URL that they want a quick scan, and we'll do a 50-page audit for them and send them one of those shareable links to that audit. It's a really simple process. They put in these 3 fields. If you can direct them to this page, if you don't, if that use case presents itself, hey, what is ObservePoint? Here you go start a sample audit and you can go get your own. If you don't want to give them access to your account or data from your audit, or you don't want to go run an audit for them, you can simply just send them over here, and this will create a audit, a shareable link to them. They can then actually upgrade the account to their own free trial account. They're in a completely different department. And they, it makes sense to create a completely new account. They can do so and create a free trial of ObservePoint. So those were the resources we wanted to share with you on today's Sharing is Caring. You can see there's a lot of sharing that we had. We invite you to try this, try out the new sharing feature. Give us your feedback as well. We want to know how it's received. Mike definitely wants to know. Product is itching to see how this is used. How you're using it is also incredible information to us. Hey, this is great. I shared it with XYZ department. They enjoyed this. They would like to see this. We want to hear about it. Please let us know. But we invite you to at least, in the next couple of days, try sharing it with a couple of people in your department or your stakeholders and those you report to. And that, with that, we'll go to our Q&A.
Feel free to send any questions you might have in the chat. If you don't have any questions, feel free to hop off. We wanted to keep a little bit of time at the end just to make sure that we could answer any questions you may have. After the webinar, we will be sending out a recording. We'll also include links to those help documents that Jared showed. And you can obviously always reach out to your CSM or whoever your contact is at Observe Point if you have any questions. So we'll give it a few more minutes to see if anybody wants to share any questions. And we really appreciate you all joining us today.
It can even be not related to today's content. If you have any questions, just in general, always happy to.
You're just interested in Mike's life because Mike is a very interesting individual.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, Christian has asked, does this use cases view exist for journeys? Can these results be aggregated across multiple audits or multiple journeys?
I'll let Mike answer that one.
Phenomenal question. So currently, to answer your first part of the question, it's not there for journeys. Really good idea. We actually have slated later in the year to kind of revamp the web journey reporting. We've done a lot of work to the audit reporting, and we want to make a lot of the reports feel very similar and the same across for journeys as well. So actually, I hadn't thought about the use case one for journeys. That makes a lot of sense. So love that idea. I'm going to take that back to the team today. The second part, as far as these results be aggregated across multiple audits, multiple journeys, no, not right now. We actually are prototyping and working in different ways to have kind of accurate reporting across audits and journeys. It's just so if you have any ideas of what data you want to see specifically at that level, would love to know. Just because when you start taking this amount of data at an aggregate level, you have different user states as far as, well, in this audit, it was opted in, this one was opted out, this one was logged in, logged out. It gets very convoluted very quickly. So if you have ideas of what specific metrics you want to see, please share that now or just email me or share it to your CSM. Would love to, because then we can design more specifically around what metrics you want to see, as opposed to solving and trying to boil the whole ocean. So yeah, so we are working on it. We've heard that that's one of our top feedback items actually that we're getting from customers. So we're exploring that, looking at how we can do that and actually make it usable, because in a small audit, even you can have hundreds of thousands of variables, and it's pretty crazy. So but yeah.
Laura asked a question here. Can alerts be set up for changes in the CCM banner or modular wording or any changes made in CCM design? The answer is yes. So alerts actually enable us to alert on a lot of different data points. Laura, go ahead and reach out to your CSM, and I'd be happy to jump on a call and start a thread on the solution behind this. It would first be a custom kind of little script that we do on on-page action that will pull out that information, and then we can leverage alerts to say, this is my expectation for that. Is that actually happening? We were looking to see number of rule failures across multiple audits. So Christian, I'm actually, with the last minute, I'm going to put in a little plug for a project I'm working on right now with the engineering team. And in fact, Dave Smith, our CTO, is working kind of side by side with me on this project. If you have any kind of appetite to do mass data pulling with our API into a separate system to get that information into your own BI tools or any kind of data lake or whatever it kind of looks like with that, we are actively, in fact, right now, if you go to our help docs and you go to the API section, we are revamping that massively right now. And we're creating what are called recipes to actually pull out that specific kind of information into an external system where you can then aggregate your own data from Observe Point into that system to get, you're looking for a number of rule failures across multiple different audits. Great. Let's go ahead and just pull that into your own Tableau so you can have your own reporting behind that. And we're creating the recipes of, here are the steps, here are the endpoints for APIs that you need to do that. Here is all the requirements for that API, blah, 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 blah. All the details, anyone who can code would just would be able to pick up and go, great, this is how this is done.
Yeah, just of note too, you can create alerts now on rules. So best practice would be is to create your rule logic and then actually create an alert on the rules report for failed rules. And we do have an aggregate view of triggered alerts. So alerts that have been triggered. So you can see on the left-hand nav here, there's a bell with a red little dot. And you can see all the alerts that have been failed or triggered across all of your audits. So you'd be able to see if there were a failed rule, you wouldn't have to look in all of your audits anymore. You could actually go to that one report and see them all there. So we do have something very closely tied to what you're looking for.
So it's not necessarily a single report of all rules, but it's all failed rules on a single location from all of your audits are inside that alert category. So that would answer that as well. Thank you, Mike. Excellent. Thank you very much for the questions, everyone.
Yeah. Looks like we are starting to wrap up. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to send them through now. You can also send us emails if you'd like. I shared Mike's email address earlier. I'll also pop mine in here if you have any questions. And we'd love to hear from you.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Thanks.
Bye.